there, welcome to the show where ex-evangelicals watch and talk about movies.
Ones we weren't allowed to experience while being raised in the church, because, Satan and stuff.
I'm Donovan.
I am Zach, and Jesus stole our movies.
So, let's hop in our Mini Coopers and drive the hell out of here as we steal this movie back.
Yeah, Italian Job reference, let's go.
Alright, cool.
Handsome Rob, baby.
Definitely wasn't a take two, you guys.
Who doesn't like a bit of the steak, man? The steak is good.
Any movie where Seth Green is the tech nerd, I'm in.
Oh god, me and Stevie should do the Italian Job for Escapist. But hey, welcome everybody. What's going on? Real fast, real quick, thank you. Big thank you to the band Mustard Plug for the use of song Vampire for our theme song moving forward. They were gracious enough to allow us to use their song. They are my favorite band in the entire universe. So thank you to them. But Donovan,
it's pretty sweet, man. What's up?
What movie are we talking about this week? What movie are we going to pile on our Mini Coopers and drive ridiculously fast around the streets of some city?
A movie Wait, go ahead.
I just realized something.
What's uh-oh?
The Italian Job was a movie before 1987, right?
The original one, yes. Is
that
the one we're
the
talking about?
90s Italian Job is a remake, correct?
Yeah, I think it's 2000s. I think it's early 2000s.
So there's an episode of MacGyver where MacGyver, the writers ripped off the Italian Job, but he has to help this guy defect from Soviet Russia through Budapest in all these Mini Coopers. And so I remember seeing that episode of MacGyver as a kid before I saw the Italian Job. So I had that weird reference inception thing where I was like, this movie's stupid. They ripped off an episode of MacGyver. And then I was like, oh no, I'm a fool.
That's
fool.
You're not a fool, sir. My kids had the same experience when Lola came on the radio, and they were like, they copyrighted Weird Al. I was like, no, guys, that's my fault. That's my bad.
Lola, she's a sugar.
Not that one.
What Lola? What? Oh,
Lola. Lola. He said Lola. She was a showgirl.
That's the words to the song, dude.
I know it is. I know which one you're talking about too, but the way you jump to that, Weird Al doesn't have a song making fun of that.
He should. Weird Al is a genius.
They really should, and it should be another Yoda parody. His name was Yoda. He was a showgirl.
Yoda. He was a Jedi.
Just trying to make money, I am.
Everyone thought he couldn't fight because he was a small guy.
Oh, see, we got it. We're working it out. Call us right
now. As you can see, I don't want to talk about this film, so I'm trying to avoid.
Well, the one thing I'll say about it, to start it off, I'll say that without this film, there would be no 1989 Batman starring Michael Keaton as Batman, which I know you would be fine with, but I would not.
Which I have never seen. That's going on our list. So
that's just mind-boggling, but I understand. That hurts my heart, though. Personally, I take offense. But before we jump into this movie and talk about,
well, we didn't say the name of the movie though.
We haven't.
We got distracted. No.
We still haven't. Okay, well, this movie from 1988 is Beetlejuice. Tim Burton's one of his magnum opuses, I feel, because as the Tim Burton standard goes, I mean, it's more of a Mr. Holland's opus.
Or Opus, the Saturday morning comic character from newspapers, the weird penguin.
Oh shit! Yeah, there you go. That's probably the more accurate one. But I think it's
Opus. They barely knew us.
Oh. Let's just sit with that one for a sec.
I got him.
But yeah, Zach didn't like this movie, as we're gonna find out, right?
Well, hopefully I don't make a bunch of people angry, because I know a lot of people love this movie.
Yeah.
But again, this is a instance of me just not having exposure to it, so I don't have any nostalgia for it.
I feel that.
It's just like it's just like I wasn't allowed to watch wrestling as a kid, but I'm a huge wrestling fan now. So I don't have any of that like Stone Cold and The Rock nostalgia and anything about Hulk Hogan and all those cheese balls from the 80s. So
Yeah.
like except for the Macho Man cuz like come on. But it's the same thing.
Timeless.
If I would have had nostalgia for this movie, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more. Um, but personally, I've realized something that I do not enjoy the subgenre of movie that is the live action cartoon. I just realized that very,
Bummer.
very recently with the watching of this and another movie on the other podcast I do with my sister. I just
Yeah.
don't like live action cartoons. If you're going to do a cartoon, do a cartoon. If you're going to do an animated film, do an animated film. If you're going to do live action, do live action. That's why I'm nervous about watching Roger Rabbit. But I think Roger Rabbit will be fine when we do it because
Hmm.
parts of it are actually animated.
Yeah, and it's a very mature story too. It kind of surpasses it. This is also has some mature elements, but the whole thing is very cartoon based,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel what you're saying, but I am a huge fan of slapsticky over the top shtick. Like I love that kind of stuff. So I think that's why this falls in like a perfect space for me because I was also as a kid since growing up super evangelical, I started looking for things that were as opposite as possible and I was like,
Sure.
"Ooh, creepy, dark, silly." I'm like, "I fucking love this, dude." So I just yeah, I kind of took to this like a baby looking for milk.
And speaking of evangelical and the opposite of some of the teachings, why would this have been a movie that was not allowed for kids of parents that were in the church?
Well, I was we were trying to find some movie reviews and stuff by Christians specifically for Beetlejuice, but as luck would have it, this was out before, the, crazy not crazy. Let me take that back. That's a little harsh. The alt-right
Hmm,
and a lot of those types took over the internet, so
yeah,
not a lot of reviews like bashing family movies and stuff yet. But we did find one little thing, and Zach sent it to me, but it's kind of positive.
yeah.
So,
I was kind of heartened by that. But this movie does have themes of um, the afterlife being a
mhm.
lot different than is taught in the Bible. It does have themes of um, being a ghost, and there isn't actually any heaven afterwards, or maybe there is a heaven. We're not really explained that, but the idea that they're kind of playing fast and loose with there being a different afterlife than is in the Bible
Yeah,
is very,
absolutely.
very upsetting apparently to people. And I could understand why, there is some spooky imagery in this movie. It's not, you're not going to show this to a kid under maybe 8 or 9 because
Yeah,
there are a couple, there are maybe 10. So there's a couple things in here that are like, maybe not. There's one huge thing that nobody should be exposed to, but we'll get to that later.
I'm
Um,
excited to find out what that part is.
well, you know what it is. It's really gross and horrible, and it never should have been in the script of this movie.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about now.
Oh yeah,
But
but
I was gonna say that I know one thing specifically that my parents had a problem with this. I saw it when I was a kid, but it was through sneaky ways. Uh,
sure.
and that just means watching it at a friend's house, not nothing creepy. Don't put your minds there, guys. That might have just been me though. But I remember one thing was my parents' belief that there was no ghosts were demons trying to tempt you and stuff. So
Okay.
this whole movie was just filled with demons. Like,
Demons.
yes. So every ghost, every dead person was a demon. So that was another thing. And I heard that a bunch in the church as well. So that's another thing that was like laden into this, however you pronounce it. But yeah, the one thing that I did see on that little article you sent me that I thought was pretty nice, or that you pointed out was pretty nice, is it says right here that the final verdict on this very positive review, meaning like this review basically says like, hey, it's not that bad for like like to just share this with people that are 10 and around that age, just like Zach was saying.
Sure.
So it finishes off with saying its themes of redemption, forgiveness, and the power of love resonate on a deeper level. It's a reminder that even in the afterlife, there's room and growth for healing. That's beautiful,
See,
man.
that's nice. And that when I read that, it made me have like warm fuzzies, like um remembering what church is supposed to be, remembering what that community is intended to be, what we were raised to believe in, compassion and caring about people, and like reaching out to your neighbor and giving somebody the coat off your back. It was like all those kind of ideas of just
Right.
very positive redemption, very a positive community that has kind of gotten warped and ruined and became this gnarled, ossified husk of what it used to be. Maybe it
Hell
never
yeah.
was, because as we learn, knowing the history of the church, it never really was. It's all just grifter city. But like the idea that that sentiment is there, and not to just be full of condemnation, and not just to be full of, oh, you shouldn't watch this because it'll send your children to hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it actually felt like somebody was trying to be compassionate about something. And well, we know that the church is kind of getting super gross nowadays, and it always kind of has been super gross. At least there was that little kernel of like when you go to church as a kid and they tell you like Jesus wants you to love your neighbor as yourself, and he said, "Bring unto me all the weak and all the hungry and all the people, and you should give people the shirt off your back and show everyone compassion and be a person of peace and compassion,
Yep.
and not a raging vengeful lunatic who wants to make everybody conform to your insanity." But like I don't
No.
know. It kind of did evoke in me that you know Sunday school sort of sentiment of like, hey, we can love Jesus and it'll be nice, even though that person that wrote that review was probably just like the Halloween reviewer before them, just
Yeah.
looking for an excuse to watch a spooky movie. You
Yeah,
know
he
what I
probably
mean?
got like lambasted at the office. Like, look at this guy just likes watching secular movies.
Secular movies.
Ooh.
Like, oh no, you guys, I'm doing it for a review. I'm gonna make it for Jeebus.
Dude, I'm surprised there hasn't been like a parody like a Christian parody movie like the scary movies and epic movie, disaster movie, but like call it like secular movie, and it's just
Oh
like
my god,
Christians making fun of like secular movie tropes where it's like, "Oh, look, now I'm
dude.
a demon." Like I went to a nightclub, now I'm possessed. Like think of
Hey, have you seen my
the
agenda
Sexorcist.
anywhere?
The Sexorcist.
Which one of you has my George Soros list for how evil I should be? I hope I
Jeez.
get paid by the liberals to be this funny.
Right. Oh no, I'm
See
being
you later,
tempted.
guys. I gotta go drink a baby's blood
Right.
for the devil.
Oh, by the way, fuck purity culture.
Everybody should just fuck all the time. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, bump uglies, because I can't
Oh
say the
yeah,
F
right,
word.
right. Oh yeah,
Ew,
because
ew.
secular movie.
Take that out. I
No,
never said that phrase.
bump
I don't even.
uglies.
Ew, fucking hell. The
But to
UK has some weird words, man.
I know they call it fanny fun also, which is weird.
You guys,
They do.
you,
A bit of
you,
fanny,
dude.
a bit of fanny fun.
Oh
But
no.
to piggyback really quick on what you were saying, it's
Sure,
when we were kids and we were learning that stuff, it was when, Christ was still in Christian. That's what I like to say, since they want to keep always saying Christ was in Christmas. No, but Christianity had Christ in Christian. But they took him
sure,
out of it, man. They took him out of it because he was too woke, and they wanted to teach us all these like wonderful things, like you were saying about helping others and empathy. Empathy was the biggest thing, the most huge thing that most of us learned from Jesus was empathy.
sure.
And then as we grew up, they're like, "Fuck these certain people, fuck this group of people,"
Hmm.
and it just didn't coincide with what they said. And that whole little statement was exactly what you said, where it's like it just I feel like this was probably written by someone around our age, I'm gonna guess.
Who knows?
You know what I mean? And that would also make more sense too with why they were like, I want to watch fucking Beetlejuice.
Right.
Like,
Well, quick plug for an appearance that you did on another podcast. You were on Your Music Saved Us.
yeah,
You guys talked about a Carmen song from the '90s.
hell
Um,
yeah.
and was
Satan
it
bite the
Cliff?
dust.
was it Clifton or Jay that said, like, kind of was just looking at the messaging inside this song and seeing the building blocks of what Christian nationalism would become. And you can see it in Carmen. It's like textual.
Oh,
It's
it's
not even
barely,
like
yeah.
the whole God's got an army thing, all that really terrifying, like, instead of, oh, hey, we're this guy, this philosopher that we've built our entire ethos around was
Yep.
teaching us to like care for people and be nice to people. But then you see your friends, families ostracize them and completely not talk to them anymore because they came out as queer.
Yep.
Um, and like that'll fucking ruin any. Like, I love this person. I've grown up with this person, and I'm not gonna tolerate you. I can't reconcile that with the messaging that Jesus had in all these sermons that you're taught as a kid. Like, oh no,
Oh
get
my God.
I
Yeah.
haven't talked to my son in 3 years because he's, on a bad path. Oh, that's real compassionate of you there, pal. You know what
Yep.
I mean?
Yeah. He'll come back eventually. He'll find his way back. No, it's that whole thing that you just said about like growing up and then knowing someone who comes out or something like that and be like, no,
Yeah.
I have a child who's trans and, they're pan. And the way that when they told us everything about that, it didn't matter. You know what I mean? It was just like, okay. And then later on when I was remembering the situation and stuff, I remembered growing up with like that hatred in my household. Like my father was straight up like, if you ever come out as anything, bisexual even, I'm disowning you. That
Oh my
kind of
God.
stuff. Then it was like, thankfully, it didn't affect my sexuality. Like I'm heterosexual cis male. Like
Mm-hmm.
it didn't affect me in any way it could have psychologically. I mean, it did, but not as bad as it could have for if a I have siblings that are, of the other orientations and stuff like that, and I know it affected them, is basically what I'm saying.
Sure.
Um, but when it came down to it, it just it wasn't like the teachings of Jesus either. It's a love thing. When you actually have love and care and empathy for people, regardless of it's my child, it's just okay. You know what I mean? You just love a person for especially
Mm-hmm.
for who they love. It just doesn't make sense. And then when
Yeah.
that hatred alone is one of the biggest reasons people are leaving the church in droves.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would honestly put that it is either the top one or two reasons. I think it's the number one reason myself.
That or the really, really nationalist, aggressive, like militia messaging that a lot of these churches have.
Right, like God's got an army. It's literally
Mm.
like arm yourselves. We got to take this shit back. But you never had it, but you think you did.
Right. I'll tell you what, though. I will tell you what right now. If I was in the church and I was like still, uh, if I still like, not associated, if I still, felt strongly that I vibe with is such a fucking shitty word. Why do we use the word vibe
Uh,
all the time now?
no, it's cool. I get,
Um,
but I think it's a very easy word to relate to. I think that's
if
why.
if I identified with that messaging a ton, like now, and I would have sat in a congregation and watched a grown man tape a Bible to a baseball bat and smash a Barbie house because of a film, because of a movie that he didn't agree with the messaging of, I would have walked out immediately, even if I still even believed there was a God, which I do not.
That's
And
insanity.
I do not, right. I don't believe in God. I don't believe that there's, whatever. But even if I did, even if I was a strong believer, to see someone behave like that would completely put me off. That's why you're getting new communities of people coming together to like be more loving and be more like accepting of human beings.
Even
Because like,
churches, yeah. There's more churches that have opened up that are more accepting of places and stuff. Like
mm-hmm,
I'll hear about a church that's like, oh, we're this kind of church that we do these kind of marriages and stuff that are not so outside of the box or so outside of the norm, but like so outside of the norm for the church where I'm just like,
sure,
what? That's amazing. You know, because the way I feel, if you have faith in something, I think that's fucking incredible. But if you're getting pushed out of your faith because of who you are, that's terrible. So if
Right.
more windows are being opening for you to be yourself in the place that gives you the most comfort and the most meaning, then that's fucking beautiful. And I think that that's more places like that should be existing, but
Mhm.
it's more of the more of the former, you know, it's just a lot of the hatred and it's fucking gross.
I will say something very positive about the church environment I grew up in
Yeah.
before I say something super negative. But like the church environment I grew up in was for a church. Let's put a big qualifier on the beginning of that.
For a
For a
church.
church, it was pretty progressive. Like there was no racism in our church. There was no like aspect of, you know, it was a very integrated. Our church was in the middle of like the downtown area of Canton, Ohio. So like everybody, like white people, Puerto Ricans, uh, we had Korean people that were part of our church. We had all
Yeah.
stripes of human beings who were in our church. And growing up in that and having so many friends and so many associations within the church that I saw every day, and because we were in church a lot, like we were one of those church families,
Yeah, yeah.
that really did help me build a strong like feeling of you know uh, integration and like anti-racist sentiment, because there's no way I would ever imagine my friend that I see every Sunday, Wednesday, sometimes on Tuesday, three times on Sunday, as any different than me. But like, and another positive aspect of our church that we went through was the church we went to was very, very, very dedicated to outreaching to the community.
Okay, cool.
Yes, it is couched in that gross, like, we're outreaching to you so we can evangelize and tell you to come to our church,
Yeah,
which I don't really like. You should just kind of just create the kingdom of heaven and let it be an example.
right.
But like that church was very much an outreach church. And that was like whatever, and very positive in that respect. But just like you were just saying about certain denominations like Episcopalians, I know Episcopalians not only allow women to be pastors, they will allow queer people to be the leaders of the churches, marry queer couples and everything. And like I remember in our church, like it was kind of a passing joke that like Episcopalians weren't real Christians.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Same. I know what you
And I
mean.
was like, well,
My father would scoff at shit all the time regarding stuff like that. I feel
yeah.
you. My
But
my church life was very similar as to what you were saying because I went to church in downtown Baltimore, and it was an old Lutheran church, and it was like everyone from the community was there, and we had dinners all the time. Like I did all the Thanksgiving dinners and stuff like that, like the
mm-hmm,
free ones and stuff. So,
community outreach all the
yep,
time.
all that shit. So, which is another funny thing because it's like Sunday school was so like heavy with like Jesus's actual teachings and the empathy, and then like volunteering for all the like the food and the all the other like clothes drives, the tree of hope for like getting Christmas presents for like all the other kids. I don't mean to keep saying like, but this is I'm realizing this as I'm
Sure.
saying it.
Yeah.
All the connections. It's just very upsetting to be so much of you're supposed to help. Helping is the biggest thing of being a Christian is loving your neighbor and helping them. See what we're doing? We're going to people's houses and giving them coats.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, all right, cool. This is awesome. I love this message. And then as I grow older, it's like I said earlier, don't like these people because of where they came from, because they're
Right.
trying to take your
Build a wall.
jobs. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
One
that
of the things,
person can't mix with that person because something bad might
oh my
happen, and
God.
it's like, what? Wait, what's happening? Why? Oh, because of their bloodline. This doesn't sound good.
Yeah. Go study your phrenology, kid.
Let's
Like
talk about what you just told
go
us.
back and talk about skull shapes and fuck off, please.
Yeah, right. That's this. It's just you're just changing certain words that other people used. You got the same message.
One of the really cool things, and like this to me real stuck out, because the idea of tithing, and I know you've covered this on other podcasts,
Yeah,
is kind of really gross to me. And
absolutely.
you have some trauma associated with that. We don't have to. pick at these
Yeah.
scabs. But
Not
our
yet.
church,
This is only episode 3.
yeah, the church we grew up in, my sister and I, either you gave in the collection or you could just bring bags of groceries.
We did
And
that
like
too.
it was an accepted thing. Like people would just bring. You'd have like in front of the stage of the church. You just have piles and piles of groceries. People just bring in stuff every week. And I think that
Yep.
the spirit of that and the spirit of that's Christianity to me. That's like what Jesus was teaching.
Right, you're stocking the pantry for the neighborhood. That's literally what you're doing.
Hmm.
And that's
But
fucking
then
wonderful.
if you're screaming about the government shouldn't, I don't pay taxes so other people can eat.
It's literally what you're doing.
Yeah, dude. You know what I don't pay taxes for? I don't pay taxes for $3 billion battleship. That's what I don't fucking pay taxes for.
No, and you want to know how much one bullet that comes out of that big old gun costs?
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Watching, and then they're like, "Hey, you guess how much this little hook that we drill into the surface of the battleship? Guess how much that costs?
Two
20.
hundred thousand dollars.
Yep, that's when we get it from a surplus store. I'll get it
It's
for you from Ace Hardware."
it's a $10. It's a $2 part. It's probably 50 cents. I have a friend that did IT. Like his job in the Navy was to be the IT guy on a battleship,
Oh
which is crazy
no.
to me. You just need a pocket protector, man, to like run your battleship for you. But he said
You want
that
to get
like
Wi-Fi out in the Pacific,
why
then fuck yeah, bro.
I'm
What
not
did he?
getting my emails.
He's
But he
like,
was
what?
saying that like shit was wild, like the contractors they would have to bring in, the different parts and things, the that like there's such weird, super low level corruption underneath things.
I
Like,
bet.
we're gonna buy all our fiber optics from these guys, but they're gonna crank the money up so it's like 3 times as expensive, so they get paid more because it's a government job. It's just like whatever. But he said he would have to constantly replace.
I'm
Sorry,
clapping. No, I was clapping for them.
no,
No,
good for
I'm
them. Good for them getting paid, I guess.
like they figured out a hustle. That person was saying like, hey, you can find good positive things in it. Not everything has to
Right.
be fucking negative. This was just a movie, and there's actually decent things that you can take out of it that you can take with you throughout the rest of your life. Just as positivity
Mm-hmm.
and learning that it's very similar to what we learned in the church. And
Because
you,
there's a really sweet message in this movie
yeah,
about just being forgiving and actually accepting people, which is kind of but whatever. Um, so
no, you're right. Don't whatever it.
we watched this movie because we are recording this before Halloween. I think the episode's coming out after Halloween,
Yep, yep.
but I don't want to lose my Halloween. I want to hold on to it and all the spooky decorations, and I want to see skeletons everywhere and like weird graveyards. Like
Oh wait, you know what? Wait, what day
I don't
is
want to let
this?
go
This might actually be
today.
our. This is gonna be our Halloween episode.
Oh, is it coming out on Halloween?
Yep, this is gonna be literally the day of
Uh,
Halloween. So you get to hold on for it for this episode.
so happy Halloween, kids. I wish we would have got a better, more Halloweeny movie, but whatever.
We did
So
Halloween before this.
yeah, but that was beautiful, and I loved that experience. This was interesting.
You didn't like Michael Keaton's performance?
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
All
I
right.
don't know. I don't want to make anybody mad. This movie has a lot of merits, and they had a really sweet message and some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful effects.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get into this film.
All right, Jack, Jesus Christ. I said Jack because I was thinking of Jack Skellington.
Jack Skellington.
Zach is gonna steer the ship for this film because he had never seen it before, not once. So
Not
let's
once.
let's go down memory lane for me and this is rocky waters for Zach.
Rocky Waters. And I'm not saying the movie's bad. I just don't enjoy certain parts of
I'll fucking screenshot and post on the Instagram some of the text you sent me.
it.
From the director of Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Adam and Barbara are
Ghosts. What's the good of being a ghost if you can't frighten people away?
their house is being haunted by the living,
Maybe the house could use a little remodeling.
and they can't scare them into leaving.
They're dead. It's a little late to be neurotic.
So they're calling on Beetlejuice
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
who's no ordinary ghost.
You don't want his help.
Can you be scary?
What do you think of this?
Now, the party's over.
You want somebody out of the house? I want to get somebody out of your house.
But the fun has just begun.
It's showtime. Learn to throw your voice, fool your friends, fun and party. Not bad.
This is amazing.
Want a cigarette?
Oh, no, thank you.
Oh, yeah, here I come, baby.
He's guaranteed to put some life
Attention, keyword shoppers.
in your afterlife. Michael Keaton is Beetlejuice.
I'm the ghost with the most, babe.
So, we open on dreamy music and the hints of the song Deo.
Hell
And
yeah.
then it's completely ruined by Danny Elfman Oompa Loompa Dooping everything into oblivion.
You
And I just
monster.
can't just like, dude, fucking calm down.
You're a
Calm down,
monster.
Danny.
You're coming at this.
I don't
You're
like that
coming
man's
in hot, brother.
I don't like that man's work. I don't like Danny
Oh,
Elfman
no.
soundtracks. Boom, 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 ba-da-da-dum, boom, 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 boom. Have you ever seen the Kids in the Hall John Williams sketch?
Yes, I do that all the
That that's all it makes me think of. But like weirdo Danny Elfman in his weird dungeon room going and then he just has jingle bells for no
that
reason.
he just taps. I feel
We
that.
get sweeping overhead shots of this beautiful little tiny idyllic small town in either upstate New York or we later learn it's Connecticut. And we get rolling credits. This
Hell yeah.
becomes a really cool transition between the actual overhead shots of the town and a miniature
Mm-hmm.
showing us we're entering a dreamlike space. And I
Yeah.
really, really enjoyed that bit. But goddamn, is that music annoying?
I remember when I was a kid watching that, I would think that I'd be like, wait, was the whole thing a miniature from the beginning? And then like never rewinding it because VHSs took a while to rewind.
Remember, kids, you couldn't just hit back 15 seconds every time you
Yeah.
walk over to the VCR, push the button, and like
Rewind.
watch it. Like, oh, no, no.
Pray the tape doesn't get eaten.
Right. So as we zoom, as we push across this miniature, we zoom in on a house. It's like this old timey looking Victorian house with a tower, and we see a spider crawl up and over the miniature house.
That
And
shot
Adam,
that shot reminded me like the old 50s, like, you know,
Mhm.
Attack of the Giant 50, blah, blah, blah.
it was definitely an Attack of the Giant Spider invasion type of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And we see a hand, and Adam, played by the youngest Alec Baldwin you have ever seen in your life, takes the spider and lets it out the window. Which, first things first, this is a good dude. You don't just smash the spider. Not only because he didn't want to smash his mini that he worked really hard on, but he was compassionate enough to move the spider out and not just smash it. You
What a
know,
way to start the movie if he just comes swinging a fucking bat at the
spider guts everywhere.
This I got to point out too that this is the most Bruce Wayne looking person I've ever seen in my life. I'm
Alec Baldwin?
so this in this movie, yes.
Really?
I'm so sad that young Alec Baldwin never got to play Batman. Him right here, take those fucking glasses off. That's fucking
Oh
Batman.
God, I don't think you're talking about Batman there, pal.
I said glasses, brother.
Take those fucking
I'll leave it there.
glasses off, Alec Baldwin. Have you ever seen The Shadow?
Hell yeah. That's Batman.
Margot Lane. A super 80s lady comes up, and she looks like she was just cut from a Sears Roebuck catalog in 1988 and just popped into this movie. And this is
Those
Barbara,
bangs.
played by Gina Davis. We love Gina Davis. I love Gina Davis. I think she's wonderful.
Absolutely. Have you seen of the Exorcist TV show?
No.
He's one of the leads
no.
in that. No, brother. It's amazing.
Brother.
I'm not
Brother
joking.
Jack.
You need to watch it. And she's one of the leads in it, and she is chef's kiss. The first season of that show is love it, man.
Gina Davis. They have like flirtatious couple time, and it's somebody's birthday or their anniversary, so they exchange gifts.
Yeah,
and we learn
anniversary,
that they're
yeah.
on vacation. It's a very sweet, very idyllic scene.
Hmm.
But then they start making out, trying to get a little hot and heavy up in the attic there, pal.
He straight up
And
throws her on a couch, brother.
yeah, take off those goddamn glasses.
And what does he say? He's like, we can always try for another one because they were talking about
Yeah.
babies or something.
But before they can get too hot and heavy, a honk from below stops their interaction.
Son
It's
of
a
a
neighbor.
bitch.
It's a weird neighbor realtor lady saying super rude stuff and just being in their house, which her name is Jane. And first of all, these people are living in this house, and she's like running up on their house talking about, I have a listing, I have a buyer. Like, they live here, dude. Like, what are you doing?
It's good
And
shit.
I was expecting, because they made her so weird and villainous in the very beginning of the movie, that she would actually play a bigger part, but she really didn't. She says something horrible to
Yeah.
Gina Davis, which she says, like, this house is too big. It should be for people with a family. And you're like, who the fuck are you? Like,
Yeah.
get out of this people's lives. And I wanted for the Maitlands. I wanted just smack that lady. Like,
Oh
you're the
my God,
worst
yeah.
lady. Get out of here.
Especially
Oh, it was
like
horrible.
Gina Davis's reaction to it, Barbara's reaction when she says it, like, because she's such a great actress, you
Hmm.
feel the pain across her face that like she's
Yeah, it was
trying,
bad.
she hasn't been able to, she wants
Right.
one, and
And you see,
yeah,
immediately Jane knew the situation.
yeah,
She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, then don't let that shit come out of your mouth.
well, yeah, like that was really just like it makes you wonder, like, what else is Jane talking about to other people if it just
Yeah,
drops out, like, fuck you, Jane, and then
that's some
also
shitty
just
church lady stuff for real.
hell yeah, hell yeah, it's like Miss
Mm.
Ruth, but anyway, it just also is you're starting to realize a pattern here. It's been like 5 minutes and they've already hinted at twice like they really want a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie's a little ham-fisted, but everything is set up and paid off very, very well. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I really like the construction of it.
It's written
Then
well. It's not written by Tim Burton.
the Barbara gets Jane out of the house, but she's so nosy and so intrusive that Adam downstairs getting supplies for his dioramas
Yeah.
opens the basement window, and she's in the basement window.
Which is like
Like,
a
oh
jump scare.
hey. And it's like horrible. And she's a terrifying looking woman. Um, and she's talking about someone from New York is willing to pay X amount of money for the house, and they're still living there. And it's just like, ugh. So they
He's like,
shoo her off.
goodbye, Jane, and closes the blind on her.
And a little bit later, Adam says he needs to go to the store for some supplies for his diorama. And
Yeah.
he talks Barbara into coming with him. And I noticed that Alec Baldwin in the very beginning of this movie seemed like he was rushing everywhere. He was very, very like fast paced and very frenetic. Like, why are you rushed? Relax. You're on vacation, brother. Like, pump the brakes.
I think
And
that's yeah, go ahead.
but you kind of had to snap through this movie to get everything out that you needed to get out.
Yeah,
I don't know.
absolutely. I think it's also like it might end up being like kind of part of his character has to have this arc where he learns to like slow down and shit and learns that like to take it easy because life is short and like take it in, smell the dead flowers.
Smell the foamy spiky spikes that do not look like miniature grass at all. We'll talk about that later. Um, so they head on down to the store. He runs in the store, and there's a really, really funny joke where this old ass barber is sitting there. And he
Yeah.
starts talking to him, and Alec Baldwin's is like just ignoring him. The guy doesn't even stop talking as Alec Baldwin goes in the store, gets whatever he needs from his hardware store, and runs out. And the guy's still talking about this old dude in the town. It was very, very funny.
Yeah, it was dope. When I was a child, I didn't realize that that was his store. I thought that was just an indicator of like this is such a small town that he can run in and just pay for it and he's trusted.
Right. But it does say Maitland's over the
I was
top
a
of it.
small child, I said. It doesn't matter that I realized it as an adult.
Okay. Oh, Jesus. Okay.
I watched it like 70 times, didn't catch on. I was like,
The
look at
happy
this sweet little town. Everyone trusts everyone.
the happy couple head back to their house, but on the way they have to swerve to avoid a dog that's in the road, which the dog was already in the road we saw earlier, which I really
Which
like that. We
I
put everything ahead.
and there was a fan theory that was Beetlejuice. That's
Oh,
just
okay.
a fan theory.
Oh, all right.
I don't even know how, but I saw that on crack.com.
Well, there's your problem.
Fuck you, crack.com.
They swerve to avoid the dog, and in swerving, they smash through the side of the covered bridge and plunge into the river below. The yellow car is sinking out of sight in the depths of the river, which I didn't think the river was that deep, but their car is now. And they're dead. I know it, you know it, but they don't know it yet.
Nope, nope.
As they all come back in the house, almost seemingly instantly later, which I thought was a very, very interesting idea that was never explored. Um, they realize that they didn't get from the river to the house. They just kind of
Yeah,
appeared in the house soaking wet.
yeah. How did we get home?
And they just kind of remark on the start of their crummy vacation. They sit in front
Yeah.
of a fire that was not there before, that lit itself before they came in the house, which I thought was fun. And Barbara accidentally gets her hand just set on fire as she's warming her fingers in front of the flames, which was a really, really simple effect done very, very well. And I thought was terrific stuff. And you did it in camera without any CGI, and just you don't have to have a pile of CGI to make stuff great.
Yeah, I love that part too. The whole little moment is pretty fantastic because there's also a part where Adam picks up like a little miniature horse and
Mm-hmm.
like moves it and you can't see his reflection for some reason or something
Sure.
like that. And I thought that was
Yeah.
really cool.
Because they
So
did.
yeah, all those little moments were practical, which was really dope. Anything that uses a practical effect immediately gets a tip of the hat from me.
Tip of the hat from me. Night begins to fall, and Adam wonders how they got back to the house from crashing in the river. When he steps out from the front porch, he steps out into a very, very Tim Burton nightmare landscape, which just screams Tim Burton. And it's like, oh, God. And something big and undulating surges towards him under a bunch of very, very yellow sand, which didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I was gonna make a
Like,
Dune joke, but I don't know shit about Dune.
what is this? What was it supposed to be? Later we learn what it is, but that makes no sense
Yeah,
at all.
it's supposedly Saturn, right? And
Yeah, Saturn famous for having, sand and land masses,
and
right?
worms.
And worms. No, Saturn is
I feel like
a
this
gaseous
was
planet.
right. I feel like this was 100% a Tim Burton idea that he just threw out there when it was being written. Like, I want worms on a planet
Yeah, with
and
two mouths. It's gonna be so cool.
and they're like alien? No, alien. You're a fool. By the way, this is on Saturn.
On Saturn, and like
Like
it could have
like an
been
alien. No.
no, uh, it could have been anywhere. You could have just called it like a weird extension of the underworld. Like if you leave the waiting room, that's where you go.
Absolutely.
You didn't have to call it Saturn. It's very strange.
Right, they could
Um,
have just been like snakes, and they're like it's the basement of the dead or some shit.
the basement of the dead. That's the lost George Romero film.
Oh hell
It's just a bunch of incels who get
yeah!
killed on Zoom where they're shit talking women by zombies.
Oh, oh no! Exclusively on Shudder.
Adam starts to get chased by the sandworm until he's pulled back onto the porch of the house, where Barbara says he's been gone for 2 whole hours. She shows him something else on the mantle. They have no reflections, because, they're dead.
Uh-huh.
There's even laying on the coffee table something else she noticed, a handbook for the recently deceased. And it has like this very cute sort of like 50s image on it, which I thought was very fun.
Yeah,
Um, I really enjoyed them.
that whole aesthetic is kind of what the afterlife is going for. I feel like is like a '50s
Sure.
waiting room kind of thing, and I have a journal of that. What like the handbook for the recently deceased.
Hmm.
It's such a missed opportunity to not like leave it out when guests stayed over and shit. So then when they wake up, it's just sitting there.
That's so funny. But they would have to know the movie in order to get the joke, right? I guess
Well,
a lot of people know this
yeah,
movie.
a lot of people do. Yeah, you were over here. You're like, That's interesting. What's this? Not realize what it was.
A little bit later, up in the attic, Barbara paces as Adam reviews the rules in the Dungeon Master's Guide, which I thought was very funny when I wrote it, but was not very funny when I said it. So the Dungeon Master's Guide, I was like, oh, that's so clever, you
Dead.
piece of
Oh,
shit.
I get it. That's a good one.
And there's a really, really nice tiny detail of Adam gets frustrated at reading the book and it's too obtuse for him. So he like
Yeah.
slams it closed and there's like a little plume of dust. But he
Yeah.
says the rules read like a very opaque technical manual
Yeah, it reads like
and they're
stereo
frustrated.
instructions, right?
Mm-hmm. Fade into a candlelit somewhere where a gravelly voice reads a newspaper out loud to itself. This is presumably Beetlejuice, and
Yeah.
already I'm annoyed. Like, why are you mumbling?
It's like
Like,
let's check out the help wanted section.
talk like a person. Sorry, but like I just that was so
Cause
annoying to me.
his vocal cords are decomposed, sir.
Yeah, that means you talk like her.
Yeah, man. I think that's legitimately what Michael Keaton said in an interview. He wanted his vocal cords to be like decomposed and rotted away.
Oh, oh my.
There's some method to the madness.
Okay, okay. Like when he's laying on his back, air humping. Like there's a method there. Okay,
Yeah, man, come on. He's a character actor. Give him some fucking respect. He finally has an Oscar.
for Birdman, right?
No, I think he lost for that one.
Oh, what do you have? What did Michael
Does he
Keaton
not
have an
have an
Oscar for?
Oscar? Maybe
I
he
don't know.
doesn't have an Oscar. Maybe he lost a. Now I feel really bad.
Hmm. I remember Birdman being a big deal,
Right. And then
mostly
maybe
because he's already Batman. So I don't know why.
I think
Oh,
he lost
Birdman,
it
because haha, superhero.
because if I remember correctly, there was like a viral thing of when he lost him, like putting his speech back in his pocket,
Oh,
trying
I don't
not to
know.
look sad. Oh, this got depressing.
So we cut back to the Maitlands, and Adam is fussing with his diorama. Cut back to the Maitlands, and Adam fussing with his diorama of the town, while Barbara laments the dust and not knowing anything about the afterlife. She says this line of like, it's like maybe this is heaven because we just get to hang out with each other. And she goes, if it was heaven, there would be no dust. Which, sure, lady, I 100% agree with you. In heaven, you
Yes.
don't have to go to work and you don't have to pay bills and you don't have to clean your house. That's heaven.
No
That's why
allergies
it
as
doesn't
well.
exist. No
Absolutely.
allergy. There you go. You can eat all the peanuts and just kiss any randos you want.
Oh my God, right. And never have the sniffles because of the fucking cottonwood in the
Yeah.
neighborhood.
The corner of
Just
your eye just never itches. And you're just like, you want to like dig your own eye out because your eye itches so fucking bad and you forgot to take your Allegra. That doesn't happen in heaven.
your sinuses and
Everything's
your
fine.
nose are never inflamed and make it impossible to breathe or talk sometimes.
Ugh.
I
You
have
have
to.
to lay there like desperately pulling air into your throat.
I'm not a mouth breather. I'm just trying to breathe in general.
I'm not a mouth breather. It's just the period between May and June.
I'm not
It is.
kidding you
It
guys.
is.
I have to get sinus surgery. This shit sucks.
I'm not a mouth breather. It just happens to be between the 1st of April and the 15th of June.
Yep,
Uh,
that's
uh.
about right. That's yeah.
You know what pollen looks like under a microscope? It looks like tiny little spiky death balls that are climbing in your nose and your eyes, and they want to kill you.
That makes me more upset about it. Like little maces flying into
Yeah,
my
it looks like
face.
the hens of little maces. Yeah.
Ugh. Oh, by the way, he did win an Oscar for Birdman. Just update.
Okay, cool. So I was right.
Yes, you were, sir.
Thank, thank you, universe. All right. Oh no 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 no. No. And I kind of want to know, what's with the Harry Belafonte? Why was this chosen? It's very pervasive through the whole thing. It's like a thing that Adam really, really likes is just playing Harry Belafonte music, which is zero shade on Harry Belafonte, but I just want to
It's an interesting
understand
choice.
that choice, right? Like,
Yeah.
what is that choice?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's just something either he was feeling at the time, like it was just a phase for him, maybe.
Maybe. Was it maybe because it's such joyous, lively music that it contrasts with it being in the afterlife? Possibly.
Possibly. Yeah.
I could see that being a narrative choice that it's so vibrant that you would not want to associate it with,
Well,
being dead.
I'm well, growing up, I wanted to be a screenwriter, like horribly
Hmm.
bad, and a director. Those were like my two biggest like dreams. Still honestly are. I would love to be able to do that, but anyway, I used to write like scripts and short films all the fucking time. And I
Sure.
was writing this horror comedy once, and it was deeply affected by the works of the Fat Boys, the rap group. I'm
Yeah,
so serious. I had
let's
it
go.
I had the whole script written to songs, like certain scenes would be written to songs by the Fat Boys. Like the script, like the opening scene was written to Baby You're a Rich Man by the Fat Boys, and it was going to be
Mm.
about like this guy who collected all these name tags from like these jobs because he could never hold a job, and like I had like but the reason I'm making this point is like maybe Tim Burton was just listening to a shit ton of Harry Belafonte and was just like, I gotta put this in my fucking movie.
Sure.
So that was just a roundabout way to say that.
As Adam works on his diorama, motion draws his eye from outside. It's Jane, the realtor, at their house looking up at it, and presumably we learn now that it's been several months.
Yeah.
They call out to her, but there's no answer because she can't hear the dead, as mentioned in the Handbook for the Recently Deceased in Rule 2, Section 31, subsection F, paragraph 3. As Jane drives away, she drives past the for sale sign in the yard of their house, now saying sold.
Hmm.
Time passes, and the Maitlands are sleeping soundly, which I don't know why you would need to sleep in the afterlife. They're probably just remembering what they did from before they were dead.
Listen here, man. If I can't sleep after I'm dead, I don't want to do it because sleeping is one of my favorite fucking things.
Hey, man,
If
there's
I
heaven
can't,
for you, just a cozy blankie.
right, if I can't cuddle up in the middle of the afternoon and take a nap when I want, I don't want to fucking go.
The Maitlands, sleeping soundly, all nice and cozy and idyllic in their cute little couple time, are awakened to a bang from below in the house. Upon investigation, they see a guy and a lady. Charles Dietz, played by Jeffrey Jones, which we're not going to talk about that, and
Oh, I love
Delia.
to talk about him.
Oh no, not this fucking guy.
I'm just kidding. We can keep going.
Charles Dietz, played by Jeffrey Jones. The less said about him, the better. And Delia Dietz, played by the incredible Catherine O'Hara.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't know Catherine O'Hara was in this movie. Like
Oh really?
I didn't know anything about this because I don't care about Beetlejuice. Like it's never been
Right.
a thing that I've wanted to even see or whatever.
Right. Absolutely.
Which I just want to thank my mom for saving me this hour and 45 minutes as a child and never having been exposed to this because like I was like, oh, maybe if I watched it as a kid I would have liked it, but this was not my favorite thing.
Yeah, that's what I was
Um,
gonna say earlier when you were talking about the nostalgia thing. I think that might be another reason so many people my age do love it. Is just the nostalgia of being like, this was
sure.
cool when I was little, you know?
Yeah. Charles is enthusiastic about how homely and bucolic the house is, but Delia is less so. We immediately learn that these two are not very nice people. Delia is the very caricature of the big city art scene stereotype,
Hmm.
fussy, self satisfied, obsessed with the latest trends. And movers start to bring in um, furniture and they smash a banister or something. And they bring in a couch, just like with this girl sitting on it. And this is Lydia, their daughter, played by Winona Ryder. And
Hell
she's in
yeah.
full hardcore moody Molgoth mode. And
Hell
it's
yeah.
like, dude, was this movie a lot of people's jumping off point for like Molgothery? You know what I mean? Because like
Yeah.
she looks like like she got her wardrobe from Hot Topic circa 2002. You know what I mean? Like
Hell yeah, brother.
it was definitely a thing.
It was definitely a jumping point for a lot of dudes having crushes on goth girls. I know that.
I guess.
I'm speaking from experience.
I definitely could see it being a jumping off point for people having a crush on Winona Ryder because she was very sweet and nice in this movie, despite the trappings of gothery. And
Yeah.
I know lots of goth people. Like goth people are not angry or nasty or mean. Like
Right.
they're humans like everybody else.
Our
But
vampires,
like
as South Park would have you think.
she, there's an openness to, Winona Ryder's performance in this. And she's very
Absolutely.
sweet and very honest with her performance. And I think a lot of that is those eyes, quite honestly, because her eyes do a lot of work in her
Yeah.
acting. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you remember Mr. Deeds when
Yeah,
Adam
with
Sandler
Adam
when
Sandler, yeah.
she was in that movie with him, and I was like, I saw that when I was like in my mid-teens, and I was like, oh, she's the most dreamy lady ever.
Oh, shucks, ma'am.
Oh
Yeah, I know
man.
exactly what you mean. Yeah, dude. That's how I felt about this one. That's what I was gonna say when you were like, all right, just fall in love with Winona Ryder in general. I was like, why not both?
As Adam and Barbara look on from above, invisible to the living, the Dietz family makes rude comments about the house around them, and a strange man climbs through a window for being different and cool, which I kind of like the idea that
Yeah.
this movie did nose thumb at art people
Yeah,
and
yeah.
people just trying to be weird and different to have a gimmick. Because this dude was
Is
nothing
that.
as a person but
Yeah.
a gimmick. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Otho.
The man, known only as Otho, which
Yeah.
I didn't have the actor's name down, is the ultimate self-important artsy type. And he begins immediately to say rude things about this beautiful house. He's out here acting like if Mr. Belvedere was played by Tim Curry. And it's just like that amount of Tim Curry snark in a Mr. Belvedere like
That's pretty genius.
body. Adam and Barbara look on in horror as Delia and Otho begin to mark up their house with spray paint until Adam asserts, hey, we're ghosts. We can just haunt them and get them to run away,
Right.
which I thought was very fun. Delia and Otho are walking through the house, like super judgy of this fucking house, man. Just like opening doors and like slamming things and saying, like, oh, it's a pedestrian bathroom. Like, what? Just, it's a, like, grow up, I guess. I don't know. But they open a closet to reveal Barbara hanging from a noose, and it's actually a pretty like
Startling.
startling jump scare. Like she's just like dead. They don't react at all because they can't see her because they're dead.
Yeah.
Um, and when they don't react, Barbara just reaches up and pulls her whole face off, which I was like, yeah, let's go. It was the
Yeah, it was
first
dope.
instance of like gore and a
Her
really, really
eyes,
great makeup effect.
uh-huh, and her eyes drop out of her sockets and everything. So
Yeah, it
fucking
looked
cool.
really good. They're they don't react at all, and Otho just pushes her dead body out of the way, which looked really, really cool because they just used the dummy,
Yeah.
and it just looked like so much trash. And he just was so dismissive of it. It was a very interesting visual.
And he finds her wedding dress, right? And he's
They
like,
find the wedding dress. It's very important for later.
mm,
They walk through, making comments as they go, until they emerge into a study, with Barbara standing there, wielding a knife, holding Adam's severed head in her hand, his decapitated body laying at her feet. And again, the art snobs take zero notice, but Mr. Dietz jumps in front of them, saying, don't ruin this room. You can do whatever you want with the rest of the house. Just don't ruin this room. Because he
yeah,
wants all of Adam's books and like for this thing to not be touched because apparently we see that he has some sort of anxiety disorder or something that made him stop being an evil real estate developer, which really didn't stop him being an evil real estate developer. It just meant he needed to move away from the
the
pace of New
city.
York City.
You're right. I think it's also pretty funny that that was like a very effective jump scare because it's like a double jump because once it
Mm-hmm.
happens and you see them, you're like, oh, and you're like, okay, you start to calm down. You're like, that was the scare, and then he jumps out. You're like, oh fuck.
Yeah. He says, "Do not ruin this house. It's too nice." And Catherine O'Hara, Delia Dietz, has this incredible miniature monologue that she does this Catherine O'Hara thing where she just amps up the mania that she's pushing through it, and she's
Yep.
like, "I will set this house on fire" or something. It's
Yep.
just so fucking funny, which kind
She's
of did make
genius.
me want to see Beetlejuice, because I want to see Catherine O'Hara act. Like I think
She's
she's
the
just incredible.
she's one of the best parts of that movie for sure, and she's in it a lot, and it's
Good.
fucking hilarious. God
Have
damn,
you
what
seen
was
Schitt's Creek?
I seen some of it. It was one of those shows that me and my wife started and then stopped, not because we hated it or anything, just time, and started something else eventually because we forgot about it, you know.
I
But
feel like Schitt's Creek Moira Rose is Delia Deeds.
That's what a lot of people were saying too. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's so
looks.
funny.
I need to finish watching it.
It's such a sweet, adorable show. It's just like absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, and then Daniel Levy, and it's is
Oh
awesome
yeah,
as fuck
he's
too.
great.
Um, okay, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. There's a part where Otho and Delia are walking through the house, and
Hmm.
he's spray painting in the rooms and shit, and he says something. He spray paints something, and she reads it, and he goes, "You read my mind," and she's like, "I did," and he goes, "So few of my clients can. It requires a special connection." It
What a
shows that he's
grifter.
such a grifter. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And I fucking
such a.
love that scene. And she's like, she just buys into it because she's just like, yeah, I think in the 90s and 80s, there was a huge thing where like art people were like really into cults and the spiritual
Hmm.
and shits.
Well, it comes in waves. We see that like spiritualism was a huge deal at the end of the 1800s, like the
Yeah,
1880s to like the turn of the century. Spiritualism was just pop culture, and
true. Yeah.
you
Seances and
know,
shit.
people just doing things, seances, like spirit boards were in everybody's house until there's some moral panic about suddenly like, oh, we're communing with demons, or a bunch of conservatives take over and like crush everybody's fun times. And we're back to just everybody like, don't use a Ouija board. You'll talk to the devil.
My favorite thing is finding Ouija boards in thrift stores and picking them up and be like, Danielle, we gotta get it. And she's like, why are you touching it?
And when Delia has this little monologue, which is so funny, Gina Davis, Barbara, Barbara says, "Ooh, I'm gonna hurt her," and she like starts towards her, like, "Oh my god, is Gina
Yeah.
Davis gonna swing on this lady?" She's gonna like, "I'll beat your ass! I'll beat your ass! I'll beat his ass!"
That would have been
And
hilarious if like it was a little couple like a quick two shot of just her trying to swing at her and just like her hands going through her.
yeah, that would be fun. Delia and Otho move on, heading up the stairs to the attic, and Adam, worried they'll mess up his diorama, runs headless up the stairs in a very, very fun visual and
Yes.
slams the door because he runs past them, and Otho says, "Oh, did you feel that?" And then he closes the door because they can't see him because, they're dead. And it spooks Delia, and she's like, "Oh, there's something wrong with this house."
Yeah. See that part though, like I don't know. There was also something about his physicality when he runs by, like he hits something or something.
Mm-hmm.
I really like dug, but then it also kind of bugged me because there's parts where it like picks and chooses what he can go through and what he can't. That kind of bugged
Yeah.
me too. But yeah,
Sometimes the rules are a little flexible, sure.
yeah. I just
Barbara
remember.
gets him. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying. I remember when I was little, being like, "That doesn't add up."
Um, well, that's the thing about ghosts and anything, insubstantial or incorporeal in media, right? A hologram in Star Trek. How does that hologram? Well, hologram's not a good example because that's a bunch of force fields and light. But a ghost in general, how does that ghost know to stand on the floor? You know what I mean? How does the ghost
Yeah.
just not drift through the floor? How does Kitty Pryde in the X-Men not just sneeze and she's halfway into the basement?
Oh, you gotta
You know what I
harness
mean?
them abilities.
There has to be a certain amount of flexibility and hand waving that we do for plot convenience. You know what I mean?
So ghosts are really just mutants, like Kitty Pryde. Mm.
No. That's not what I was saying. But sure, if that
You
makes you
saying we
happy,
got
okay.
mutants in our house?
Barbara gets mad because she can't affect any change and she can't get these people out of here. And she runs outside in that same nightmare landscape Adam was in earlier, this time complete with a cartoonish, silly looking sandworm that does not fit anything aesthetically that we have established so far. Then the Maitlands rush back inside, fleeing the sandworm. And that sandworm looks stupid. I'm sorry, it looks like a cartoon. There's so many really great effects in this. Barbara pulling off her face, them doing the masks with their skin later, super cool. A lot of the dead people in the afterlife later look terrific. But then
Yeah.
there's this silly ass striped sandworm that just looks like Tim Burton's like, "I've had this in my sketchbook for 17 years and I really want to see it on screen." That's
That's
all it
basically
seemed
it
like to me.
is. Yeah.
Just shoehorning his shit into there. Have you ever seen the interviews with Danny Elfman where like Tim Burton will just bring him sketches
Yeah.
and be like, "This is what I want it to feel like," and it's just weird shit. He's like, "I have
Scribbles and
no idea
stuff.
what this movie is about. I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, but I will make this feeling from your sketchbook in music." So
Right.
apparently, all of Tim Burton's weird imaginings is just like,
Have you? He keeps bringing it back. Well, Tim Burton is a very melodramatic. Just like he's just, yeah. I don't like him as a person.
Tim Burton's a late '80s, early '90s edge lord,
Yes.
and it just makes fucking weird edge lord people think they're special because they feel seen, which
The,
everybody should feel seen.
I,
But at the same time,
at what cost?
he's like the type of person that goes outside and does their like does styles their self a specific way just so people look at them, not because it's a lifestyle that they want to lead. There's a difference between a punk cutting a mohawk and then putting their mohawk every day in defiance of like conventional dress code norms, and Tim Burton wearing his giant glasses and putting his hair up and just being like, "I'm so eccentric." You know what I mean? It's just try hard to me.
Well, it's
And
not
I,
just that; it's his personality too.
yeah. Also, we learned that Tim Burton is a little bit not a savory character when it comes to certain things. So,
What are you talking about? He has a soul train in Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, and
yeah,
it and
yeah.
it's a stereotypical soul train. That's not about. That's besides the point.
Can we talk about how there's so few, if any, like non-white characters in any of
Soul
his
Train
movies?
and Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
I
Okay,
think
he
there's
made up for it.
I think there's one character of color in Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Well, so what? Stop being like that. You're
I
just pointing it
think
out. You're the problem. You're the problem.
I'm the problem. Okay.
You're pointing it out.
Tim Burton saying that he doesn't believe people with melanin fit aesthetically into his art style isn't the problem.
You having a
That's not
problem is a
appropriate.
problem.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
I just want to say my biggest gripe with Tim Burton, besides what you just pointed out, which is obviously the biggest one, is that for the entirety of one of my favorite directors' lives, he has taken credit for for one of his biggest films, and that is my man's Henry Selick, and that will
What movie is that?
always The Nightmare Before Christmas. Henry
Oh
Selick
yeah, that's right.
directed that movie. He made that fucking movie and created that style of like the way things
Hmm.
move. Go watch fucking Coraline and you'll fucking see that. Go watch James and the Giant Peach.
Oh, I love James and the Giant
So do
Peach.
I. Like these are fucking fantastic films, but even James and the Giant Peach sometimes because they were like when it came out, they're like from the creators of Nightmare Before Christmas. People
Hmm.
thought Tim Burton made that.
Yep.
No, he drew some shit and wrote a poem, and then somebody else wrote that movie and someone else directed it. He showed up at the set and kicked a hole in the wall one day because he didn't like the way a set was designed. He's a little prissy little butthole.
Imagine walking up to stop motion animators and being demanding of them. You know what I mean? Even as a director, I can't see like I understand your job as an animator is to give
Right.
emotion to this tiny puppet millimeter by millimeter by millimeter. I'm not going to make your
Patience.
day any harder. I'm going to be as kind and gentle to you as you possibly can, and just be like, okay, bud, are you? I'd really like it this way, but if you can't, you know, well, let's talk about it. But like, this poor person is hunched over this table, moving these teeny little guys.
Oh my
They're just like
sweating.
losing their mind, and they have to click the camera, and then like, oh, I worked for 12 hours today, and I made approximately 17 seconds of film.
Oh yeah,
It's a
right.
2 hour movie.
And and at one point some guy with wild hair came in and kicked my wall because I didn't have this bag set the right way on Jack Skellington's throne.
Yeah, what a lame-o. You don't see Travis Knight doing that shit. Travis Knight is a great director that directs stop motion films, and he doesn't treat his people like that. You think Seth Green went down into the Robot Chicken production area and was kicking holes in walls? No, because Seth Green is a decent human.
Well,
and
Seth Green is currently union busting in Stupid Monkey Studios.
oh no, are you fucking serious,
I
dude?
swear to God, I just found out like last week. I was like, no.
Seth Green's a scab?
He is union busting. They were like, they passed out. There was this letter that got released where
Oh,
they were like,
fuck
we
that.
all know that you might be unionizing. Here's why that's a bad idea. And we're like, oh no.
Oh man, what a bummer. No way.
Yeah, stop motion workers, I think, really should be unionized.
Yes.
That's a really
Animators should have a union. Like there should be animator union. And the studio shouldn't have a problem with that. Like, well, I guess anybody making a ton of money off somebody's really hard work
I I'm talking
would
about
have a problem with the
Beetlejuice or
union.
any Tim Burton. I think talking about Tim Burton, that is a very big thing because all of Tim Burton's movies have an aspect of fucking stop motion and stuff.
Hmm.
And here's a little indicator of how much he's a little bitch about that.
Oh
Sorry
my
for
god.
using that word, but like for real, he
Sure.
like he was people were giving him shit after a while. Like as our generation got older, and there were people that were like, "But you didn't actually make Nightmare Before Christmas." He went
Right.
out of his way, and made The Corpse Bride, a stop motion movie. He had to make that movie because I feel he was just like, "Well, I can do it too." I feel like that's the only reason he made that movie, and that movie is
Hmm.
subpar at best. I don't like that movie that much, but people, it's received like a second wave of like people liking it. But anyway,
Hmm.
sorry. Those are my gripes with the guy. And he's like, if you got big eyes, I'm gonna cast you as my lead. That's the other thing.
Yeah, I think that, yeah. And I think he was really shitty to Helen Bonham Carter too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and she's a cool lady,
Yeah,
except
she
for
seems like she's good.
when she had an affair with the guy Kenneth Branagh when she was married to Emma Thompson. That
You
wasn't.
son, are you fucking serious?
I swear to God, that scene in Love
God damn
Actually
it.
where she finds the thing for the chick with Alan Rickman's character when she was crying, she was actually crying because currently her husband Kenneth Branagh was having an affair with Helena Bonham Carter. That's some shit, right?
Uh, so not only did I just learn that Seth
Sorry,
Green's a scab, he doesn't stand with unions. I also learned that Helena Bonham Carter was the one that Kenneth Branagh, and then we have all those great Shakespeare adaptations in the '90s with Emma Thompson and Kenneth Branagh. They're just fucking terrific. I
they
always
were in
wondered
love
why
at
they got
some
a
point.
divorce.
Well, now you know.
What,
Sorry for ruining your day, buddy.
what a bummer. What a bummer. Okay, so back to our film. And I think we're only like 4 minutes into the movie at this point or something, which is ridiculous. But at dinner, the Dietz family is talking to each other, and Lydia is in full silly Billy goth mall goth mode with like a veil hanging down below, fuck, with a veil hanging off of her hat, which
Hell
looks
yeah.
really really cool. Like that shot was a very striking shot. I really appreciated that.
Yeah,
Uh, Charles says that they'll make her a dark room to brood in the basement, which I thought was very, very funny. It's
I
a very dark room.
yep. And her
And
response is fucking great.
what was her response?
Did you have it?
No, I don't have it written down.
Oh, my life is one big dark room.
Same girl, same.
Yeah, me,
Uh,
11-year-old me was like, oh, fucking no. Like, 8-year-old me was like, I feel that.
Delia says she wants to sculpt again, but first she needs to gut the house and they can become the summer art center of New York. Gut the house, she says, including the attic, and thusly Adam's diorama and the only safe space that the Maitlands still have in this house. And that kind of was heartbreaking to me because they really did in this movie invest a lot of time making you like the Maitlands and like making them relatable and lovable characters. And like I don't want to
Absolutely.
see their only little island of safe area in this house be destroyed by this horrible lady who just wants to impress her snobby New York art friends. You know, it's so shitty.
Yeah, for
And
sure. I agree with that 100%.
And we cut to construction guys working on the house, carting away antiques, bringing in schmancy artistic stuff, as Delia does an incredible Catherine O'Hara things, like just running around yelling at all these workers. Like there's a section where she's like yelling at the guy. She's like, "You're not listening to me," and he just keeps walking, and she's like, she's like she's being manic, and it's the most like entertaining thing to watch.
I
The
love it.
Maitlands look on in distress from the attic window, finding a glowing classified ad for Betelgeuse, a haunting expert who can help them get rid of living people. Is
Hell
I think
yeah.
it's an exorcist of the living.
Exercise the living.
Downstairs, Lydia is taking pictures on the front lawn and notices the Maitland silhouettes in the attic window. When that no good skis Jane rolls up, she gives Lydia a skeleton key for the house, which
Hmm.
means that she can now get into the attic.
I also love at this part she gives Lydia a card, and she's like, "I decorated the whole inside of the house and interior all designed myself. You can give that card to your mother if she wants me to do it again." I was like, "Yeah, that's hilarious."
Yeah, I like that little performance. It was a pretty nice low key joke,
Yeah,
and the reaction the reaction that Jane has when she puts her hands on the steering wheel and kind of like realizes that they're not going to call her. She's like, "Oh,
yeah. And she's
if she
also
calls me."
and she's kind of like weirded out by Lydia. She's like,
Yeah.
"Ugh."
Inside the house, Lydia goes up to the attic stairs in a really, really nice shot, emerging from all this steam from these guys trying to remove the wallpaper into this really geometric hallway where she's all in black clothing, walking through this billowing white cloud of steam, past all these geometric shapes of like the stairway exposed walls. I really thought that shot was nice because
Yeah,
she
it's
like steps into it and like that's good filmmaking craft. I think it's really beautiful imagery.
absolutely.
The Maitlands hear her and they run to block the attic door by but are distracted as they push on the door by a really annoying TV ad for the same exorcist of the living, Betelgeuse.
Hmm.
Now,
Which always confused me when I was a kid, like the difference in changing the spelling and the pronunciation. I never understood that.
I was just going to ask about that because, like, on paper, it's written Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse.
Yeah.
But everybody says Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Those words are not spelled the same. And if you read and have comprehension of reading the English language, you realize that the phonetic construction of a Beetlejuice and Betelgeuse are two different things and they're very distinct. And why are you even talking about? So, does that mean you can just have any weird combination of those sounds to summon
Yeah.
that nasty little man?
As long as
Like,
it's like the same syllables.
yeah,
I don't know,
I don't
man.
know.
That always confused me when I was little too. I always looked at it as like maybe just through time. Like he's such an ancient being. That's like the
Maybe.
original Latin way to say it. And now throughout time they just simplified it to Beetlejuice. That's the only
Sure.
thing I ever thought of, but that's how I made sense of it in my head. I don't know if it's ever been explained. I'm gonna look into
Also,
that.
might have been also Saturn was a thing in this movie. Betelgeuse is a star, so maybe there's some sort of cosmological something or other. I'm not sure, but like I bet you Beetlejuice is a lot easier to sell a film on than the word Betelgeuse. You're like, what the hell's a Betelgeuse? I know what Beetlejuice means. I'm gonna go watch that movie. And the this TV ad is super annoying. This fucking asshole is riding a miniature cow, and you see that he is inside Adam's diorama, and he's acting like this total fucking idiot, like laying on the ground and gyrating into the air and grabbing his crotch like a moron. That's one of the
Hey,
three most annoying things I've ever seen.
how rude.
Oh, rude. Adam uses a stick or like a pencil or something, to push Lydia's skeleton key back out of the keyhole. And this just makes her more intrigued because she knows that there's something up there that doesn't want her to get in.
Absolutely. I mean, personally, I'd be calling my parents and be like, I think that we got a squatter in the
Yeah.
attic.
Or the or the scary people that live in the walls and like modern housing developments.
Hey, man.
You're right. You
No, I'm
good?
looking around, freaked out now.
Oh my god.
I better
The
be a
Maitlands
squirrel in the wall. I swear to Christ.
It'll be completely fine. There's just rats in the walls of my house, and I'm having infestation of horrible otherworldly entities. But a guy sitting in there eating chips and drinking Mountain Dew, no fucking way, brother.
Right, one's nature, one's not.
Oh God, some of that shit's scary. Like people will just find like blankets and
It's
food and shit. And
it's something that always creeps me out, to be honest. I always want to like check out crawl spaces and shit just to make
mhm.
sure, because I've seen the videos and shit. No thanks, man.
The Maitlands said the Maitlands say that they need help, and Barbara suggests that they call this Beetle guy. And Adam, reading the book, says you can just draw a door on a wall and knock 3 times. They do, and the door opens up in the solid brick of the chimney, issuing forth an eerie green light that the Maitlands pass into. It shines underneath the attic door, even further intriguing Lydia. She wants to know what's going on in there.
Mm. That shot is so fucking cool. The green light that just
Oh
shines
yeah.
across her, like right across her eyes. And I
Mhm.
always tried to do that shit with a piece of chalk after I watched this movie when I was a kid. Make the door and then do
Oh
the
yeah.
doorknob and then knock, knock, knock. Nope, no dice.
No dice. No afterlife for you.
Nope.
Hey,
Hopefully
big
not for a while.
surprise, Child Donovan. There is no afterlife, and
Yeah,
nothing is going
I can
to
see
bring
a
you any
little.
kind of joy.
I can see little kiddos hanging out as you stare at me while I do it. Yeah, you thought it was gonna work, huh?
You
Feeling good about yourself? Shut up, Zach. I have
want to knock?
joy.
You want to knock a couple more times? See if
God
that
damn
works.
it.
Try
All right.
drawing a different handle.
That might work. Maybe do a sliding door.
Yes, maybe the door needs to be larger. Try a garage door this time and try to pull from the bottom. Be sure to use your legs, not your back, little man.
As I do it. Shut the fuck up. I'm trying.
I ripped my pants. But we're running out of time for today, so thank you all so much for listening. If you want to drop us a rating or review or cuss us out or whatever, do it on. Are we on Apple Podcasts?
We are on Spotify right now and Amazon podcasts. We're working on getting on Apple right now.
Yeah, leave
By the
us a
time this
rating
comes
or
out, we will
review.
be.
Cool. And or shoot us an email at JesusStoleOurMovies@gmail.com and just tell us how wrong we are and how we need Jesus, but whatever.
Or
But
suggest a movie.
yeah, suggest a movie and we will tell you whether or not we are allowed to watch it as kids or something. I
Mm-hmm.
really like that idea of people being like, "Oh, have you seen this? Have you seen this?" We have a little bit of a list now, but we're always open to suggestions. And um, come back and join us next week as we finish Beetlejuice. And again, thank you to Mustard Plug for the use of the song Vampire for our theme song. Follow us on Instagram at jesus.stole. Her Donovan posts funny things, and I can't post because Instagram hates me.
Oh my God, you're out again. I forgot. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
so join us next week as we finish Beetlejuice, and hopefully I stop prattling for long enough to actually let us finish a movie.
What? We're both talking. We be
So
quiet. We have schedules. We have a lot of shit to do.
I
Don't
think
let
it's
him.
100% my fault that we never get to finish these movies because we talk too
Right.
much.
No, we there's other people involved, Zach. I also ramble
Oh my
about
god.
bullshit.
Oh my god. We had
That's
a
the
good
whole point
talk
of
today,
doing
though.
this. We did. That's the whole point of this. Whole reason we decided to do this was because our conversation in between the bits is what makes it. Wow, we're good, buddy. We are good. I'm enjoying it, and I love the way it's going. Can't wait to do more. So let's all get back at our Mini Coopers and get the hell out of here and plan our next movie heist, right, buddy?
As long as I get to ride in Jason Statham's car.
All right, you get in his car, and I'll get in mine.
Handsome fucking Rob, mate.
That's right. Bye.